Very few of them launched each decade. So there are teams of astronomers. You also recognize the transition from astronomer to geologist as you get in close, and you can definitely tell I am not the geologist type. I am the astronomer type. But this is live science. This is happening right now. So what I wanted to do here in this last little few minutes here is bring you up to date for what happened after that was filmed about 6 months ago. Okay, so the year of Pluto, I believe it premiered at the Geophysical Union in December, and then was updated again a few months after that. We'll talk a little bit about the New Horizons mission, give you some updates. I don't have the slide thing in here. 1 second. There we go. Okay. So, reviewing all this, the Clyde Tombaugh discovery 1930, the images of Pluto, and I just wanted to show you this is the actual images. This is Pluto, and it moved from there to there. From there to there. Those were the discovery images, just to let you know how great an observer Clyde Tombaugh was. He searched plates for night after night for about 2 years looking for things like this, and this is the one he found. Okay, but he had no business discovering Pluto based upon the task he was given. I just hats off to Clyde Tombaugh every time I do this talk. Okay, but it was predicted as being about 7 times the size of Earth, and over the course of the estimates of its size kept going down and down, such that it was joked that before the year 2000 Pluto would disappear entirely. It didn't disappear when we discovered its moon Charon. We actually got a measurement of it that it's 2.2% of the mass of Earth. Okay, these are those Charon discovery images where you see the hunchback of the solar system here. Another image that doesn't show that hunchback, which says, there's something there. Continued observations were what we're able to discover Charon in 1980. Hubble got better images. Ground-based doesn't generally separate them, but Hubble, even with the flaw, was able to separate Pluto out. And here in the infrared, you can see 2 bright spots from Hubble in 1994, separating out Pluto and Charon beautifully. The pixels from Hubble, again, we've shown you the map and the pixels here from Hubble, and this is the best we could get, okay, until we start doing this. Year 2000, I was one of the 3 curators at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, the Hayden Planetarium, and if you heard a tiny little bit of ruckus about Pluto, it was because we kicked Pluto out of the solar system back in 2000. When we set up the exhibits, Neil Tyson, Steve Soder, and I, we classified Pluto as part of the Kuiper Belt. I was the editor on this. I made sure we never said Pluto was a planet, and I made sure we never said Pluto wasn't a planet. But we discussed it in context of the Kuiper Belt. Well, somebody from an architectural the architectural section of the New York Times suddenly thought this was a scoop that nobody had noticed. Well, in fact, the scientific press, we explained it to them, and they said, oh, okay, that's great. That's how you should think about Pluto. But it was somebody from the architectural section of the New York Times that threw up a ruckus, and then this is where stuff like this came about. And so, hey, and it doesn't. It was discussed like this. All right. Hubble followed up in 2002 with a lot of new observations from the Advanced Camera Surveys. We released the maps like this, and you'll see this a lot in your textbooks. And my prediction at the time was this bright yellow is nowhere on Pluto. You will not see this bright yellow on Pluto. All right, and we'll see if my prediction comes to bear. All right, we also saw changes in Pluto from 2002 to the 1999 maps. There's the 1994 maps to the 2002. The 8 years, you can see changing spots on Pluto. Okay, kind of interesting seeing things. And we talked about it having that significant tilt and seeing seasonal effects on Pluto. 2006, the New Horizons mission launched. 2006 also was the discovery of Nix and Hydra, the first 2 moons that Hubble was able to discover around Pluto. Again, searching the Pluto mission for hazards to the New Horizons mission. All right, August 2006, the rest of the astronomical community joined our view that Pluto should be a non-planet. It was classified as a dwarf planet at the time. I still call it a Kuiper Belt object because I don't find dwarf planet very useful. We'll talk about that tomorrow. 2007 has the gravity assist as it goes past Jupiter, and that's when it got that beautiful Tvashtar image. 2012, actually 2010, we discovered Styx. 2012, Kerberos, 2 other moons in the Pluto system. You'll notice that these are much, much fainter because there's one exposure here in this image for Pluto and Charon, and then a different exposure for the 4 outer moons. So Kerberos and Styx are really, really tiny. I'm very surprised that they were able to pull that out of the data. This is the size of those moons. You probably, without that special technique that they talked about in the film, they never would have gotten those out of the data. All right, so 1 year to go, and you can see that it's traveled out to the orbit of Neptune and headed towards Pluto on there. So we begin the year of 2015. These are the Hubble images. Okay, these are not from New Horizons. These are the Hubble images just to show you, remind you what the disco balls look like, okay? So this is how we start the year. We start getting more pixels in April. We start getting equivalent resolution and slightly better resolution than Hubble. Here you can see Pluto and Charon from the LORRI imager, and you can see nicely that they orbit around a common center of mass. Of course, that can be a little frustrating to watch, so some of the things that they will do with the New Horizons mission is center things on Pluto as if Pluto wasn't moving. That I want you to recognize that they both are orbiting their common center of mass, but this is easier to look at. But what's really cool is looking at this zoom image, because this was in April. All right, and squint and look at that, and does that look spherical to you? No, this was one of the intriguing things. We're approaching Pluto, and it's much larger. It's twice the size of Ceres, but it doesn't look spherical. Scratch our head, scratch our head, scratch our head. Wait a little bit of time, we get closer. We start to see more. All right, so in April and then May, you can see from this angle, it looks spherical. From this angle, well, a little bit of that. And from this angle, oh, it's getting better, getting more resolved. I'm not sure. What are we seeing? What are we seeing? Looking at the various things in May. Then go to June. Here are the images from June. June, one hemisphere, what they call the closest approach hemisphere. This is the one that we will see in highest resolution as it swoops past Pluto. Okay? The opposite hemisphere looks like this. But what do we see in this opposite hemisphere? There's a circular feature here, maybe? Is that some giant impact crater? That's awfully huge for being an impact crater. Very intriguing features that we're seeing, but a lot of dark and light spots. Now you'll notice that what appears to be, a dark spot here sort of resolves out. All right, and we're losing a bit of the non-sphericity as we go, getting to the June images. We're now approaching, we also wanted to look at Charon. The original images of Charon and deconvolved shows that there might be a dark spot on the top of Charon. All right, so as we're getting in, this is from June 18th, about 3 weeks ago. Finally, images released just yesterday. From New Horizons, July 1st, July 3rd. Okay, you can see this dark spot here, which can easily be considered when you look at it from a long way away. It might be an indentation. Maybe it's not an indentation. Maybe we're starting to see relatively spherical things around it as you're doing on these things. So we're seeing how the dark and light tricks our eyes from far away to what we see. The other thing that we're able to get, this is from the LORRI imager. Oh, by the way, these are all coming from Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, which is over in near Columbia, Maryland, about 20, 30 minutes away. All right, so next week is the headquarters that they showed in the film. That's 20 minutes away, and that's where all the action will be happening there. All right, the other thing we can get is also color maps. They have LORRI is one of their image things, which gets the reflectance, and then Ralph gets the color. I don't know whether Ralph stands for something. Combine the two of them, and you can get a real color image of it. And here, released yesterday, was the latest color image of Pluto. So I have taken you up to date with the most recent images of Pluto. Again, you see a very start to see a craggy surface. You start to see surface features. You start to see either these are shadows or these are dark spots. All right, we don't see quite the large-scale dark spots that we saw in the Hubble images. It'll all come to a crunch next Tuesday. So they are starting their window of all of the observations. As they said, when they start the final observations, they will not be in communication with the spacecraft. They're telling the spacecraft, go do this, and then they're waiting until it says, hey, I've done that. All right. The hard part is that it's going to be taking pictures after pictures after pictures while it's flying through the system, and we don't want to stop the pictures, turn around and try and send data back. So next Tuesday there will be a photo release, but it'll be an image probably taken sometime this week, because when they are actually going through that close pass, they're just going to be taking data, because this is the money shots here. This is where all of these 10 years are leading down to. They want to take as much data during that time as possible. They don't want to waste it sending selfies home. All right.
Are these available to the public?
These are available to the public. Okay. You will find pluto.jhuapl.edu. If you search up Pluto New Horizons, you will find this webpage. As I was sitting there on my laptop during the movie, downloading the latest stuff so I could add it to it, okay? Because I didn't have all the stuff that was released yesterday. One last thing, you may hear that there was a problem with the New Horizons missions. On July 4th, they had a spacecraft anomaly. It went into safe mode for some reason that at this point they weren't quite sure of. They reviewed it and everything. They released a press release yesterday saying that science operations have resumed. They're on track for the encounter next Tuesday. So yes, there was what in NASA is called an anomaly, something that unexpected, calls an anomaly. They've cleared it up and everything is just fine. Okay. All right, so we look forward to flying past Pluto, 7:49:57 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on July 4th. By the way, this used to be 59 a.m., 59 seconds. It got updated to 57, so it's changed. The exact time of encounter has changed by 2 seconds since I put these slides together a year ago. All right. All right, so that's the latest with New Horizons. John, I turn it over to you, and you can do the daily workshop stuff. Oh, by the way, any questions before we go? You probably got enough New Horizons after an hour of that. Okay, great. John, I turn it over to you.
Joey is bringing you your daily reflection. I'm not going to